He was
Yes.
an amazing guy.
Oh, yeah. I talked to Alice earlier today,
Yeah.
and she's finally able to have a conversation about Jack without falling apart. So which is
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, that is good.
Um, she says she has a lot of people around her, and they're caring for her, and all of that. So that's all good.
He was the person I read his books. Oh, when he first came out with his astrophotography, he is the one that inspired me to start doing astrophotography. I mean, his work was just incredible. And, when he came to one of the conferences I was at to speak, and I had to talk to him because, he inspired me to do this. And he was just so nice. And, over the years, we had talked a little bit off and on. And at the Winter Star Party, him and Alice a lot of times seemed to be there when I was there. If I understand it correctly, David Levy is up your way, Alan, or somewhere up around there.
In Canada, but that's a
Yeah.
big country, so I didn't know if he was in this area.
Well, he might be
Oh
in the
no,
opposite area.
I think he's a dinner speaker at Niagara Center, one of the Eastern Center, Ontario centers.
Yeah, I know he's a speaker up there somewhere. He will
Yeah,
not be here tonight, so
no, I think I saw that advertisement for their dinner banquet, and that
oh,
David was their guest of honor.
yeah, that's nice. We'll miss him here, but that's nice for him. I bet that will be a lot of fun. Well, I love the graphics Scott uses. They're always so interesting.
Yeah, you can thank NASA for that. The
Thank
NASA
you, NASA.
visualization. Mm-hmm.
Those are pretty cool. I don't know exactly what I'm watching, but it looks pretty cool.
There's Brian.
Yep, there we go. Now we're all here.
We have lots of. We're here at Northwest Arkansas Community College. We're having a get to learn how to use your telescope night, and so we got a class gathering out there with people with their telescopes, and we'll see how it goes. This is our first one to do with NWAC,
How's your
but they
weather
brought
there?
lots of snacks: cheese, cookies, drinks. So if you guys can
You,
like reach through the screen, you can have some.
yeah, Brian's got the idea.
Right.
I didn't have my dessert tonight, so I'm a little cranky.
Uh,
Hi, Brian.
Hello.
When I get cranky, I just call Terry and share it. Yeah.
I'm sure she loves that.
And she does, yeah.
I can't hear you
Yeah,
yet,
he's
Chris.
one ear's already gone.
Oh, that's fine. Yeah. Yeah, when you go to the Zoom link, you'll just be live. So. Yeah. Okay. We might have someone kind of sharing some live video. I'm not going to
That,
interrupt Alan's talk at all, but everybody else's talk, I'm going to interrupt. Okay.
we are used to you, Scott.
No problem.
Okay, here we are. Time to go live.
Imagine that you're looking at the Milky Way from another galaxy. No spacecraft can travel beyond our galaxy, so we can't take an actual photo. But thanks to our Gaia spacecraft, scientists have built the most accurate 3D map of regions where stars are forming in our Milky Way. This map is based on Gaia's observations of 44 million ordinary stars and 87 O-type stars. These storming regions are well studied. Many telescopes have captured stunning images of them. But now, for the first time, we know what they look like in 3 dimensions and from an outside perspective. This new animation reaches out to 4,000 light years from the Sun, giving us our best ever 3D views of where stars are born in our cosmic neighborhood.
Well, hello everybody. This is Scott Roberts from Explore Scientific and the Explore Alliance. I'm here, you can see behind me, we're setting up for how to use your telescope night at the Northwest Arkansas Community College. And with me here is Terry Mann, Vice President of the Astronomical League. She is my constant companion here with Astronomical League Live. Actually, it's her show. And I just have the honor of presenting it. But she's brought on some amazing guests, and so she has a couple on tonight, which is going to be amazing. And let's mute somebody here, and I got her muted. So anyhow, Terry, you want to take it away?
Sure. First thing I'd like to mention is we had David Levy listed on our announcement. And unfortunately, well, not we would love to see him here, but David is in Canada being a speaker at a dinner tonight. So David will not be joining us. But oh my gosh, we have Alan Dyer for our keynote speaker, which I always love to listen to Alan speak.
Oh, yeah.
We have Chuck Allen, president of the league, Brian Simpson, president of the Cincinnati Astronomical Society, and their organization will be hosting Alcon, and Don Knabb. He has been an incredible help to the league. He is the chair of the Mideast region of the Astronomical League, and he always brings along what's up in the night sky. So we have a great show for you tonight. And Scott, thank you for broadcasting AL Live 53 times now. Thank you very much. We really do appreciate it.
It went by so fast. But one thing on kind of a serious note is I do want to dedicate this program to the memory of Jack Newton, who was a longtime friend to most of us here on this program, and to many of you out there. And so he lived a good, strong life, did exactly what he wanted to do. He always told me I have an 8th grade education, but he knew more about astronomy and astrophotography than almost anyone I knew. So very brilliant man, and very honored to have called him a friend. So
Definitely. He
And
was
I'll
the
let
man
you
that
take it from
he inspired me to start astrophotography. His work was incredible from the very beginning, and he just did amazing work and such a good humor, him and Alice both. I mean, he will be missed, definitely be missed. So thank you
Absolutely.
for that. With that, let's see. Let's go first to Chuck Allen, president of the league. Chuck, how are you tonight?
Doing great. Tired. It's been so clear for the last month and a half. I've been to my remote site 13 times since September 1st, so I need sleep. But
Oh my gosh.
the last two falls were nothing like this. I'm going to share a PowerPoint here, if I may. Do I have permission? Yeah. Okay. Hang on. Okay. I went up to Patoka Lake, which is 73 miles from my home, and I've passed observing 3,000 galaxies now. So I don't need sunglasses for these galaxies. And when you're trying to observe 14.9 stuff, and you have this in the sky, casting a shadow on the ground, I mean, I've never seen anything like it in my life. I've seen auroras before. I know Terry, of course, goes to Alaska all the time to see them in their full glory. But this was astonishing for Indiana, southern Indiana. And this arc of green was literally casting a shadow of my telescope and me on the ground. It was just phenomenal, although kind of interrupted what I was doing. I want to talk tonight about something that should have been in the reflector of this issue, and that is awards. First of all, we conduct astrophoto competitions at our national conventions, and that will be true at our Cincinnati convention this coming August. And Brian Simpson, my friend who's president of the Cincinnati Astronomical Society, will be talking about that convention at some detail. But I wanted to alert everyone to the possibility of winning medals and plaques in astrophoto competitions and sketching and art competitions at these national conventions. One thing I want to make sure everybody's aware of is that on March 31st, the deadline for all of our awards comes up for 2026. We have major youth awards, as you know, and these carry large cash prizes and some trips to conventions. Our National Young Astronomer Award has been extremely successful thanks to its sponsorship by Explore Scientific and Scott Roberts' generosity since literally the second year of the program. And we're now in our 34th or 5th year, I think. And so thanks to him and to Explore Scientific for their generosity. Anyway, March 31st is the deadline for submitting research papers for this award. And we had nearly a dozen this past year that are just incredible. Kids discovering light echoes and supernova remnants. It's just amazing. We have also major youth service awards. So if you have young people in your club, league club, who are engaged in public outreach or helping your club or helping public nights or working at local planetariums, working in the schools with programs, going into mall shows, please submit for these because there are large cash prizes and plaques awarded to the winners of these Horkheimer Youth Service Awards. We also have the Horkheimer Parker Youth Imaging Award with large cash prizes and plaques, and the O'Meara Journalism Award, which is open to 8 to 14-year-olds for scientific essays. Doesn't have to be on astronomy. Any scientific subject will do. Also, we have general awards. Here's a young Scott Roberts presenting the Leslie Peltier Award back a few years ago. But we have, first of all, a Webmaster Award. So if you want to nominate your webmaster, if you're in a league society, please do so by March 31st. If you want to nominate your newsletter editor for a league society, please do so by March 31st. We also have a sketching award contest, which has the same deadline. And we have, of course, the Williamina Fleming Imaging Award open to female league members 19 and over. And the deadline for that is not May 31st. It's going to be March 31st. So please ignore the slide. It's an old one. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about that. I will have something else to say after Brian speaks about Alcon 26, and I'll take it back to you, Terry. Thank you.
Terry, you are muted. You are muted.
I really
There we
hate that when that happens. Okay, Chuck, thank you for all the updates. And please do remember the award deadlines. It's March 31st for everything. Next, we're going to go to Don Knabb. Don is going to talk to us about something. I'm not going to tell them what you're talking to us about. You can tell them. So, Don, go ahead.
All right, thanks, Terry. I'm going to do a short presentation on the night sky highlights. And it's only going to cover about 3 weeks because I think on December 5th, I believe, is our next AL Live, right? So it just covers about 3 weeks or so worth of a few things here. I always like to point out, especially to, we might have some people who are seeing AL Live for the first time, about the monthly sky guides that John Goss puts out for us. These are great guides. They are totally free, and I'll show you how you can download them. But we'll take a look at these two a little closer because this is more than a sky map. If you look at this, we love to hand these out at our observing events in our local club here. It's more than a sky map. This is a sky tour. This is a sky educational device. Okay, you can hand this to people and show them how to look south, and they can find things in the sky. So, for example, I took the bottom portion here and blew it up so we could see it a little easier. And let me just change my screen. Okay, so you face south and you find the Great Square of Pegasus. Easy to see right in center stage in the south. You take the two stars to the west and you follow them downward and you get to Fomalhaut, the brightest star in the south. You take the other two on the eastern side of the Great Square and you get to Deneb Katos. I guess that's how you pronounce it. Then you draw a line from the southern edge of the square until it strikes Altair. Once you find Altair, then you can easily find the summer triangle. Now, you'll see this well into December, but it's still the summer triangle, okay? So once you find those three stars, you can go from Deneb and you jump along the Milky Way to Cepheus, to Cassiopeia, to the double cluster, to Perseus, then to Auriga. And it's all laid out here in John's directions. And once you get through all those, then he has binocular highlights. So with the binoculars, you can find the Pleiades, the Hyades. And then once you find the westernmost stars of Cassiopeia, they form an arrow. They point straight to Andromeda Galaxy M31. And then the last thing he has in here is where is it? D. There's D. You again scan the binoculars along the Milky Way. There are all kinds of things to see. Then he ends up with E at the double cluster. And so this is a great tool to hand out to the club members. They're completely free to download, which I'll show you how to do that. But this is such a great outreach tool. The other one that John published for November is how to find the double cluster. Now we just went through that, so I won't go through it again. We found our way to the double cluster, but I do want to show you. This is sort of what it would look like. This is from my C-Star. This is kind of what it would look like in a nice amateur scope. It is a beautiful collection of stars, and you can see it is a double cluster. And it's high in the sky right now. You don't have to look through a lot of atmosphere. This is a great time to see the double cluster. I'm going to show you a little more detail. One of my favorite little tiny asterisms is in here. So here's the same picture, and we're going to look in right here. This is a tiny little asterism. Now, the photo is not good, but when you see this in the telescope, it's very, very obvious. So we're zooming into this section here. And this section of the double cluster is called the cat's paw cluster. So you can sort of see there's the back pad and the front pads. So here's where it compares to. All right. So there's the back pad, and here's the front pad. So this is the little tiny cat's paw. It's very small, but it's very distinct. I showed this to people at star parties, showed it to my wife, and she sees it right away. And it's really fun. Now, some people also call this the parachute man. If you turn this around 180 degrees, then this is the man, this is the parachute. So it's a cute little tiny asterism. It's worth looking for. And if you wonder whose paw that is Chandra the cat's paw. And by the way, Chandra is the Hindu word for moon. So we named our cat after the moon. Now, how do you find these materials? These the handout for the night sky guide and the double cluster. You go to the Astronomical League website. You scroll all the way down to the bottom. Then you find Navigating the Night Sky, and here they are, Night Sky Tools. There's November 2025. So there's all kinds of other stuff posted here. I won't go into detail, but it's just a treasure trove of outreach resources. So what's going on with the moon? New moon is next Thursday, November 20th. First quarter is going to be the 28th. A real highlight on November 17th, this coming Monday night, is the Leonid meteor shower. There is some talk that we're getting close to another outbreak of high intensity meteors. I'm not sure we'll see it, but there is talk of a return of some of the in the early mid 90s, there was a swarm of meteors from the Leonard shower. I still remember laying outside and seeing them come through faster than I could count. So there is talk that we might be heading back to one of these very high activity levels. So I intend to get out if it's clear, to get out. Pre-dawn hours would be the best. You can also go out, Sunday or Tuesday. The pre-dawn hours on Monday the 17th would be the best time to look for Leonid meteors. The planets, there's not a whole lot going on with the planets, unless you want to get up at dawn and see Venus and Mercury. But Saturn is ruling the night sky. My local club had an event this past Saturday night, and we had some faint clouds, but we were able to see Saturn and showed it to lots of kids, lots of people. And even though it was slightly cloudy and the rings are almost edge on, it was still amazing for people to see. So Saturn rules the sky. But once we get into December, Jupiter is going to be low in the east. If you can find the Pleiades, which we showed you how from our sky map, Uranus is not far away, and you can find Uranus with binoculars. Now, you will need a telescope to see Neptune, but it's not far from Saturn, and both Uranus and Neptune are visible all evening. So we're taking a look for those. I'm going to do just a short look at a couple deep sky things. So this is Auriga. We showed you how to find this by going across the sky to the east. Capella is a very bright star, rising in the east, easy to see these days, and sort of a nice shape to the constellation Auriga. So what other meanings do you have for the word Auriga? It's also the word for a Roman slave chauffeur, and also the name of the spaceship in the movie Alien Resurrection. So that is Auriga. We're going to look at these three open clusters. Now, once it gets cold weather, I like open clusters because I can see them with a binocular. If I do set a telescope up, they're easy to find. You don't have to spend a lot of time star hopping to find these clusters. So I'm 36, the pinwheel cluster. It's a faint cluster, 50 to 60. You can definitely see in binoculars. It's a compact cluster. You need a large scope. 4-inch would do. The bigger the better to resolve individual stars. And some people say these brightest members are in chains that give it a crab-like appearance. I see that here, but that has been reported. And then we go down 37, the salt and pepper cluster. This is the biggest and brightest of the three clusters. With binoculars, you'll see a fuzzy ball. With a telescope, you can really dig into this cluster. You'll see with a medium-sized scope, maybe 12 red giants. The biggest one, if you can sort of see where I'm pointing here, that is the biggest red giant in the middle of the salt and pepper cluster. Not too hard to find. Some people say it's more orange than red. And this cluster is about 200 million years old, which of course is young compared to the age of the universe. And the last one, M38, is called the starfish cluster. I can't quite see a starfish. I don't know why it's called that, but that is what the name has been given. It's just in northwest of M36, and it's about 100 stars. Some people describe as having a cross shape or an oval shape. So those are three really nice open clusters. Nice to compare the structure of each, and not hard to find at all. I do like to point out one star. This is one of my favorite stars in the sky. So if we look at Cepheus, of course, Cepheus is in the shape of a house, and we go to the basement of Cepheus, and we find Herschel's garnet star, Mu Cephei. So this is a big star. We could fit 2 billion suns into its volume. There's only about 5 stars known that are larger than it, and luminosity is 400,000 times that of our sun. So William Herschel saw this. He described it as a very fine, deep garnet color, such as the periodical star OCD. And sometimes the star is known as Arrakis, which sounds a lot like the star of the home world in the movie Dune. Spelled a little different. I think that Arrakis was with an A, but it does sound like the movie Dune star. But everyone calls it Herschel's garnet star. It is a beautiful star. It's very red, very obvious. You can see in binoculars, better yet with a telescope. And other things you can do to find things in the sky rather than the Astronomical League, there are other resources out there. Just Google skymaps.com and you can get this map. It's a two-sided map. You can, on the back, if you print it, or 2 pages, it lists, this goes by calendar day. On the back side, it lists things naked eye, binocular, and telescopes. Very, very useful handout. Or you can Google what's out tonight, and you can find this one. This is like a 4-pager. It has even more information on it than the skymaps.com. But both very nice tools, very nice for handing out at star parties. So that's all I have tonight. Just get on your warm clothes, get out there, and enjoy the crisp, clear November sky.
Well, thank you, Don. That I always enjoy seeing the sea star pictures. It used to be when we would say, well, you could see, a cluster up here, and we really didn't have the ease of taking a quick shot like we do now. I mean, it is amazing what the new virtual scopes can do. And
Yeah.
for
And
outreach, so many
and
use them for outreach.
the photos from the sea star look a lot like what you would see through the telescope, as opposed to a very long exposure astrophotography photo, which shows you much more than you'll see with a telescope. I like to use them because it's sort of what you'll see in the eyepiece of a telescope.
True. And binoculars too. A lot of times what I could see, it reminds me a lot of binocular views and some things too. But thank you. It's really nice to get a little bit more up close look at everything. So thank you very much for what you bring to the show every month.
Oh, you're welcome. Anytime.
Okay, thank you. All right, we have a new person tonight. Brian Simpson. We will be talking to him quite a bit between now and August 12th through the 15th for Alcon 26. Brian is the president of the Cincinnati Astronomical Society. And Brian, I'm going to let you go ahead and fill the audience in on Alcon and anything else you would like tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks, Terry, for inviting me tonight for AL Live. As people will tend to say, long-time listener, first-time caller. So it's nice to be here with all of you tonight to talk about Alcon 2026. I know that this has kind of been a long time coming for us. Chuck and Terry first approached me to have CAS host the Alcon back in early 2020. It was, I think, February of 2020 we first started talking about this. And as we all know, what happened in March of 2020 sort of really sidelined a lot of our efforts to get going. But the silver lining of that is that we are in a much better position now to host the Alcon than we were even back then, and have some more interesting things to offer people in terms of a visit to our area and to Cincinnati. So I'm going to try to share my screen, if that's okay, to share. I put together a little bit of a deck, and hopefully, let me switch and go to, let me see if I can go to full screen here. Let's see. Will it let me do it?
You can't get in?
1 second. I'm trying to get this
Okay.
to go to full screen, and let me switch back. Let me know. Let's see, entire screen. I don't know if it's going to let me do it or not. Let me zoom down here. Canceled. Give me just 1 second. I'm
Sure.
just going to have to do it with the sidebar. That's okay. All right. I always like to hide the sidebar if I can. Let's go to the window, Alcon 2026. Okay, here we go. And let me know when you can see that.
I can see it.
All right, fantastic. So again, like I mentioned, Alcon 2026, we're really excited to be hosting that here in Cincinnati. And so I want to start off by giving viewers a little bit of a taste of who we are as an organization, just a sort of an introduction. CAS is one of the oldest amateur astronomy organizations in the United States, founded in 1911. And we were founded by a gentleman named Dr. Delisle Stewart. Dr. Delisle Stewart got his PhD at Carleton College in Minnesota and spent a number of years on the Harvard College staff in the late 1800s. And he spent a lot of time in Peru, as many astronomers were tend to do at the time, and even today. But at the time, he spent several years, I think, down in Peru. They were very heavily involved in astrophotography. That was something that Harvard College was at the forefront of at the time, and he was a big proponent of astrophotography. He took a lot of plates when he was down there. But then in the early 1900s, in 1908, actually, he moved to Cincinnati to take a position on the staff of the Cincinnati Observatory. I'm sure many of you know about the Cincinnati Observatory. We are very heavily connected with the Cincinnati Observatory because of Dr. Stewart. So he took on a role there. However, his attempts to bring astrophotography to the Cincinnati Observatory were rebuffed by the director of the observatory. He didn't believe that was the proper way to conduct astronomical observing or research. And so Dr. Stewart became a little disillusioned, or he left or was asked to leave. We're not really sure what it was. And in 1911, he decided to start his own organization, and that organization would be known as the Cincinnati Astronomical Society. And the irony there is that the original name of the Cincinnati Observatory was the Cincinnati Astronomical Society when it was founded in 1843. But when the Cincinnati College, now UC, took over the observatory in the early 1700s, they retired that name and became the Cincinnati Observatory. If you go to the Cincinnati Observatory today, the cornerstone actually says Cincinnati Astronomical Society, but it's a different organization altogether. So Dr. Stewart basically took that old name and named his new organization the Cincinnati Astronomical Society. And you can see here an etching of an observatory. And this was his dream, was to build another world-class observatory over on the west side of Cincinnati. And this is what it was going to look like. And for a variety of reasons, not the least of which is money and the Great Depression, it never came to be. It did get off the ground, so to speak. The foundation was laid. That was actually semi-built, but they ran out of money, and Dr. Stewart died in 1941, and with it, his dream of a world-class observatory over on the west side of Cincinnati. So moving forward to today, CAS, we've gotten pretty large over the last 5, 6, 7 years. We're approaching 400 memberships. We've actually seen our membership double from where it was just in prior to 2020. We own 3 properties. We own a headquarters property, which I'll show you a photo here in a minute, and we are fortunate enough to own 2 dark sky locations, and I'll show those to you in a moment here. This is the CAS headquarters and our observatory field. We do have a really nice headquarters building where we hold all of our events and our meetings, our monthly meetings where we usually have speakers. And then you can see we do have the telescope field there with 4 permanent in-ground observatories. Those observatories include 14 and 16-inch Newtonian reflectors, as you can see right there. And we have a small observatory known as the Henkel Observatory, which houses a 8-inch Alvin Clark refractor, which was made in 1880. And we actually have a primary lens that was made in 1853, I believe. So those are our observatories at CAS. We also own 2 dark sky properties. One is in Adams County, Ohio. The other is in Bracken County, Kentucky, where our members can go and camp out overnight. Our Bracken County location actually has a 20-inch reflector, which was donated to us by the Rissmiller family, who owned this property and this building. It was their private observatory in the 1980s, and they donated it to CAS upon their retirement in 2015. So we're very fortunate that we have these 2 dark sky properties. They're both really, really great places to go to observe. Milky Way visible. I think that they're probably Bortle 4-ish in that area, 4 to 4.5. So really nice dark skies for our members to be able to go to. We are very heavily involved in outreach, as a lot of amateur astronomy organizations are. In 2024, we participated in 68 different events, which included 15 eclipse preparation events that we put on in order to get people around here prepared for the 2024 total solar eclipse. Cincinnati was just outside of the path of totality, so a great opportunity for people in this area to get into totality. We actually had a slogan that said 99 is not enough, because we wanted people to know, because Cincinnati was 99% coverage, that was not enough to get the full effect of the total eclipse. So in 2025, we are on track for 60 or more events, depending on what happens in the next 6 weeks. We have a lot of really dedicated members who spend a lot of time. And I know that a lot of our members are now working on their outreach awards with the Astronomical League. So we're also very heavily involved in citizen science. We are participating in the Radio Jove program, the SID program, and Exoplanet Watch. We've got a team of members who are doing a lot of really great work in measuring exoplanet transits. And this is a really nice development. We didn't have a lot of citizen science in the few years prior to maybe 2022, but we do have a really rich history of citizen science. CAS does, in terms of involvement with Operation Moonwatch in the 1950s. We have a historical marker here celebrating CAS's commitment and participation in that. Now let's talk about Alcon that we're going to be hosting. This will happen next August 12th to 15th at the Marriott River Center, and we will be having that in Covington, Kentucky, which is right across the river from Cincinnati. This is the Marriott River Center. It's a really great venue. We're very fortunate to be able to get this venue. Here's some photos of what it looks like on the inside. Very, very nice. A nice social area space. I don't have any photos of the ballroom where we will be hosting most of the events, but it is a really nice area. This is the view from the hotel, looking out over the Ohio River to downtown Cincinnati. You can walk to downtown from this hotel in about 15 minutes. And one of the reasons we wanted to have it here, as opposed to some of the other places around the city, is that we wanted people to be able to have access to as many amenities as possible. We didn't want to have it in a place where it was, kind of away from a lot of things. And we had some opportunities for some alternate locations, but we wanted people to be able to do other things while they're here and have an excuse to come to Cincinnati for an extended stay. So here's a nice view over the river. That's our historic Roebling Bridge, which the Brooklyn Bridge was actually based on this design. And it's a wonderful, nice, like I said, about 15-minute walk from Covington, the River Center, over to downtown Cincinnati. And there's plenty of stuff to do over there when you're not at the Alcon. Of course, we are going to have speakers. We're going to have happy hours, and we're going to have the annual Starbecue here at the Alcon. I do want to say that a lot of the planning for this is still what I would call in its early stage. So some of the details will not become clearer until maybe we do a January update. But we are going to be planning these same events that we typically have. It will be a party. Chuck, do you want to go ahead and start filling everybody in on the speakers?
Be nice if I were not muted. Scott Harrington, who has accompanied me along usually with one or two of his siblings every year from Arkansas, is a tremendous speaker, and he is, oops, we lost the screen. Brian?
Yeah.
Are you not sharing the screen anymore?
Yeah, I'm still sharing.
No, it's my fault. I thought you were done. I didn't know that you were reading off that.
Okay.
There we go.
Scott started from a family farm in Arkansas back when he was 14 years old, cataloging objects with binoculars according to difficulty, and he's got very dark skies, and published an online summary of his work, which caught my attention for a talk that I wanted him to give at my club. And since then, he has gone on to do a total, I believe, of now 9 articles for Sky and Telescope, including 3 cover stories. He's now the youngest contributing editor to Sky and Telescope magazine, tremendous speaker, an expert on binocular observing in particular, but also a consummate observer and a very popular speaker at virtually all of our conventions. And you'll enjoy hearing from him. And who's next up? Jericho Keel. This is a young man. He's a senior now at Star Ridge Academy in Wisconsin. He's a member of the Milwaukee Astronomical Society and won our Horkheimer Daria Youth Service Award last year because of all of his tremendous work with the Milwaukee Astronomical Society. He mentors people in learning the use of the telescopes. He handles their public nights along with others. He also works at a local planetarium and assists in the programming there, and is doing tremendous citizen science with a Unistellar EV Scope 2, including exoplanet research, which is really extraordinary. I shared my program time at Bryce Canyon this past summer with Jericho, fully realizing that he was going to knock it out of the park, and he did. Very, very popular speaker, and can really amaze you with what's possible to do with a small electronic telescope. And he will be speaking as well. Okay. Pran Vera Hosseini, I think many of you have probably seen her or heard of her before. She is the founder of Astronomy Outreach in Kosovo, her native country, and she's studying to be a PhD in planetary science at the University of California, Santa Cruz. She's a dynamic speaker, and she is a Celestron ambassador, as you can see on the slide, and just a marvelous person who moves around the country giving talks at every opportunity, and deservedly so, because she's extremely good at it. And the work she did in Kosovo to put together a science center and observatory there, the first in that country, that has come through some hard times, of course, since the 1990s and even before that, is really a very captivating story, and I think you'll be amazed by it. And who is next? Rebecca Williams. Dr. Williams is a senior scientist for the Planetary Science Institute, I believe in Arizona. And she is in charge of 2 principal cameras on the Perseverance rover, which is climbing Mount Sharp on Mars, as you probably know. And I had her give a talk to our club, and it was absolutely amazing. And she'll be the keynote speaker at our banquet. And when you see what she has to show you and how that mission is run, I think you'll be absolutely astonished by it. Remarkable insights into how these rovers work and what's being discovered on Mars with regard to it. Okay. We have other speakers that we are still in the process of getting, so I won't list them yet. And I promise you it will cover at least 2 other youth speakers who will be the first and second place winners of our NIA National Young Astronomer Award competition. And those are always amazing. Last year, I think we had somebody who discovered a planetary nebula that had never been seen before or detected before. And many are doing incredible work with machine learning, with existing databases, and discovering things that are simply new in the world of science. So I hope you'll join us in Cincinnati. Brian and his team are amazing, and they are absolutely filling the schedule with opportunities to see museums, to see special things that we will be announcing in the near future. It will be an exciting time. Thank you, Brian.
Thanks, Chuck, and thanks for all your efforts to get the get those speakers lined up. I'm excited that we've got such a strong core right now. And like Chuck said, we have a lot of other people in the hopper in terms of who we're trying to get lined up for the keynote. I think that we're actually almost kind of overflowing at this point with opportunities for people. I wanted to talk a little bit about the conference format. I know I'm running a little bit long here, but we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to do a soft start to the conference Thursday AM. And one of the reasons that we decided to do that was because, with the financial difficulties of travel and everything, and the costs associated with it, we wanted to give people who have who live within 2 to 4 hours a little bit of relief from not having to come to Cincinnati Wednesday night to get here for the start of the conference. So we're going to do a soft start on Wednesday. So if you live within 2 or 4 hours and you want to leave early on that Thursday, you're not going to really miss a whole lot. We are still going to have like a brunch and a speaker, but the actual start time of the conference is going to be in the early afternoon on that Thursday. We have a lot of people who live within 2 to 4 hours, so we thought that would be a good idea to give a little bit of relief. Then Friday all day and Saturday all day. There's going to be a happy hour we have set up at Molly Malone's, which is right down the street from the conference center. And this is a great place to go and have a drink and a good time. We've got an entire floor of this bar reserved for the conference. So we're really looking forward to that'll be the night before the start. So if you want to come in early and hang out and get to meet people, by all means do that. We'll have the Starbecue. That'll be Thursday, the 13th. The location is TBD. If we get the venue that I'm hoping that we're going to get, everyone's going to really enjoy it a lot. It is a really historical place. And let's just say, without tipping our hat, that it's super. Next, we will have what is going to be called a Discovery Day on Friday afternoon, August 14th. We will have morning speakers and evening speakers, but we want to put a little bit of a gap in here for people to get out and explore the city. And we've got a number of things that we're planning that people can break off into little groups and maybe do, like a brewery tour or a bourbon tour, or we have some really interesting historical things around the city. It's also the window of opportunity that we're setting up for people who might want to visit the Cincinnati Observatory while they're here. We're working in coordination with them to get something set up for that Friday afternoon so people can visit the Cincinnati Observatory. So that'll be Friday afternoon. Then, of course, the Saturday program in the Marriott Ballroom will include the dinner, the banquet, the award ceremony, the keynote speaker. I think Terry's got some things planned as well. So that'll be a nice full day and evening into the conclusion of Alcon 2026. We are really trying to position this as a great opportunity to visit the city and not just come for the Alcon. We're going to do a lot to try to provide guidance to visitors who come to the city for places to go. If they want to come Monday and Tuesday, if they want to stay afterwards, there's a lot of really great places to go around here. You can catch a Reds game. They will be in town that weekend. If you wanted to go, on one of the days, there's a lot of museums to visit. So we're going to be providing a lot of guidance in that regards also. And we're going to do a bonus event. This is going to be hosted by the Cincinnati Astronomical Society as an after party. This is not technically part of the Alcon, but it is something that we are going to offer in the package. This is going to be hosted by CAS Sunday afternoon and evening in a dark sky location. And I'm only mentioning it now because for those of you who have to set up travel, you might want to bookmark that as a day you want to stay an extra day. This event is going to be in a very special place. I can't reveal it just yet. This will be in the January update. It's very dark. It's very wonderful. It's very scenic. And the only additional cost that this will incur for attendees of the conference is for transportation. If you don't have any if you're flying in, we're going to be setting up some transportation for people who don't have a way to get there, because it will be about an hour and a half away from downtown Cincinnati. Other than that, the event is going to be covered in terms of cost. There will be food. There will probably be music. Hopefully they'll be observing, and again, a very dark sky location. I'll have more on this later, but you're going to want to bookmark this date. Sign up now to be notified when the registration goes live. That'll probably be in early January. Alcon2026.org is where you want to go. Just put your name in, fill out the brief survey, and then when the registration goes live, we'll send you an email letting you know it's time to sign up. I'm missing a slide here. Oh, if you want to learn more about our organization, you can go to synastro.org and read all about CAS and what we're all about. And I also wanted to give a special thanks to our co-chairs, Laura Zajac and Eric Shermley. They have been nothing short of amazing. How they have absolutely cannonballed into the pool of this project. It is a huge undertaking to put this on. And, even, a year ago, I thought, well, we can do this, but it's going to be, and they have absolutely been killing it in terms of their organization and the research that they've done. So I wanted to give a special shout out to them, as well as the rest of the team who's putting together the Alcon. So, Thanks again, Terry, for having me on tonight, and Chuck for all of your work on the Alcon as well and getting the speakers. And we will see you here next year in Cincinnati.
Thank you, Brian. It will be an exciting conference. And I guess probably there's people out there that did not even know what an Alcon was, but it is Astronomical League Conference. That's what an Alcon is. I'm sure you put it all together with all of the information. But as I said, Brian will probably be on almost every program, or if not every program until then. So when we talk about Alcon, it is the Astronomical League Conference. So, and please think about going. This will be amazing. And Cincinnati is beautiful and will be right on the river. And the hotel is just, it's beautiful. You will really enjoy it. Everything will be the speakers, everything that's going together right now will be so much fun. So please join us there if you can. We'd love to see you there, and you will be hearing a lot more about it as planning continues. So thanks again, Brian.
Thanks, Terry. I appreciate it.
No problem. All right. Our main event is coming up. Alan, are you warmed up?
Hi, Terry. Yes, I am ready to go here. Yeah, that's
all right. Now, I'm sure everybody knows who Alan Dyer is, but he is a well-known astronomy author and astrophotographer. Oh my gosh, Alan, I look at your pictures, whether it's Aurora, Milky Way, whatever it is. Yeah. Oh, wow. Nice. I love it. Thank you so much for being on again. I really appreciate it. I do. I love your work. It is amazing. And your talks are fun too. So I will turn it over to you and let you tell everybody about it.
all right. Let's see if we can get underway here. All right. Well, the topic tonight, hopefully you're seeing the slides coming through.
Yes.
Is astro travel, astronomical travel, traveling to great sky sites to see amazing things in the night sky that you can't see at home. So I might also call it traveling to great sky sites, what you can see, because to check those things off your bucket list, you got to travel a little bit. Well, and a couple of things are going to be obvious, like eclipses and whatever. Although last year, most people didn't have to go very far. But I would suggest that as well equipped as you might be for gear, astro gear and everything, and you're hankering to buy something else, maybe instead of buying yet another telescope, and I'm surrounded by them here in my basement here, you might want to consider traveling to some exotic location to really check off some amazing astronomical sites. But you've got to travel to do it. But the southern sky, I'm going to talk about that. Eclipses, of course, we'll have to travel for the next few. And then auroras, although this week one came down to us, but nevertheless, to get a really great aurora experience on demand, it means traveling as well. Now, where in the world can you go? Of course, all kinds of locations. I'll be going over where you can go for some of these experiences. the main thing, of course, that we know as astronomers we have to travel to is to get to dark sky sites, to get away from all the light pollution here, and just to travel to dark sky sites. It's just so we can see the normal night sky, the deep sky objects and the like. This is the kind of the area where I go to. It's the location of our two sort of major local star parties in my area, southern Alberta and southern Saskatchewan, in the Cypress Hills of southeastern Alberta and southwest Saskatchewan, which are a dark sky preserve as well, and the skies are beautiful. These are some shots from those two star parties, and so we know about that. Traveling to dark sky sites. This was a shot from the Saskatchewan Summer Star Party just last August in the Cypress Hills, where, as in many star parties, it's an opportunity to get to know the sky if you're starting out. Attend, and people are like Ron is doing here, doing a laser pointed tour of the night sky to show you, and people with binoculars to show what's up there. So if you're just starting out in the hobby, your first travel priority should be to get to a local dark sky star party. And then once you're familiar with the sky, go to these beautifully scenic dark sky sites. If you're interested in doing nightscape photography, well, those are the kind of locations you want to go to. This is looking south to Montana from southern Alberta at the Writing on Stone Provincial Park. These locations are fantastic for just enjoying the night sky. And many parks, national and provincial and state parks, are dark sky preserves of one kind or another, because the parks people realize that, as a colleague says, half the park is after dark. So this was me back in May, shooting the southernmost southerly object in the Messier catalog, I think M7. That's where it is, low on my horizon, here from southern Canada, just north of the border at 49 degrees north. And so where I often like to go is, of course, astronomical mecca for deep sky observing and astrophotography down in the desert southwest. This was a year ago, October, for the great comet we had back in October 2024. Even in the moonlight here, spectacular naked eye comet over Arches National Park. So a fabulous locations to go. This was Bryce Canyon. You were there back in June for Alcon, I think it was. I was there. This was again last year. These kind of spots are just fabulous for just deep sky observing, astrophotography, and this kind of nightscape photography as well. But the location I like to go, and it's nice to have a spot like this, southern Arizona, little cottage there near the Arizona Sky Village, which, as we're honoring tonight, Jack Newton helped establish, and I like to go into that area. It is an astronomical mecca. Jack knew where to put the Arizona Sky Village. It's great. I was there again a year ago, October, took this beautiful panorama along the Milky Way. You get the Milky Way in the autumn is kind of at its best. And lo and behold, what comes up is the Northern Lights. I'm down north of the Mexican border, and what am I seeing? Northern Lights, aurora across the northern sky, as they did, because I heard from the folks that run the cottage, they said they saw the same thing a few nights ago, November 11th. And that's what I saw in October, where it's not officially Northern Lights. That's a big thing called a SAR arc, stable auroral red arc. But there it is, this artificial, this natural glow in the night sky from southern Arizona. So you can go down there and still get Northern Lights, because we're so fortunate in the last couple of years, of course, with the sun at solar maximum, to have these fabulous displays coming to us. This was last Tuesday, November 11th, and many of you may have seen some nice shows of Northern Lights from where you are, no matter where you were. People down in the southern U.S. were seeing it. There were reports from Mexico, even perhaps just as a red glow, or here I was underneath it, prime, fabulous aurora, the sky red as it was getting dark. This was the shot from one of the NOAA satellites looking down at sort of prime time, kind of when I was taking those pictures. We were right there underneath the auroral oval. And so there are times when, of course, the aurora can come to you. And seeing a display of the Northern Lights The aurora borealis is typically what you have to see, not the aurora australis. It's tough to see them because they're just take place in locations where it's hard to get to. There's just mostly water down there. But we have some great locations of the northern hemisphere for seeing the northern lights, and it is what you want to check. Get this off your bucket list, is seeing this fabulous display of the northern lights over the entire sky. It is just one of these great bucket list sites for any amateur astronomer. And while you can be fortunate and have it come to you, for the most part, you've got to travel to where the aurora typically lives and hangs out, where it is almost always overhead with any level of activity. It doesn't have to be up to this big high level of activity as we had this week. This is the auroral oval. It's around that oval, centered on the north geomagnetic pole. But not at the pole itself. It's around that oval where all the aurora's tourist sites are. Norway, where I was last month. Iceland, I'm not being there. That's on my bucket list. Yellowknife in Canada's Northwest Territory, 62° north, and where Terry goes often, Fairbanks, Alaska, Central Alaska, 65 degrees north, just below the Arctic Circle. That's the whole ring of where you want to travel to, and places that do in fact cater to aurora tourists with all kinds of tours and lodges and whatnot. Where I have been going for the last decade, almost every year, bar for a couple of years off earlier, a few years ago, is Churchill, Manitoba. It's not in the Arctic officially, but it's still in the province of Manitoba, but it's underneath the auroral oval. That's as far south as that oval comes in the world, only 58 degrees north. And so you can just go up to Churchill, Manitoba on the shore of Hudson's Bay, and this is the view here from the Churchill Northern Studies Center, which offers aurora packages and viewing. I was an instructor there for many years as well, and it's a fabulous spot in February or March. It's cold. I had nothing. You can't get away from that. But it's the skies are often very clear, and you just get fabulous displays of northern lights almost every night and overhead. Even if the activity level officially is not that high, it still looks really great. That picture on the top left screen is kind of a special one for me because it ended up on a stamp published by Canada Post a few years ago. So you can certainly get great experiences in Churchill. Here we go. The other spot where I have been, I can recommend as well in Canada, is Yellowknife, Northwest Territories. I haven't been there for a few years, but these are shots from right downtown Yellowknife, from Pilot's Monument. Fabulous night of aurora all over the whole sky. Once again, if the sky is clear, there's almost always aurora. But you don't want to go in midsummer to any of these locations. When it's warm, you have to go in the autumn through winter or early springtime when it's dark. And so that's a location I can recommend. It's fairly easy to get to. And then the other location I have been going to and was there just last month rather, is coastal Norway. Well, even in interior Norway or Sweden and Finland, but where I have been going is along the coast on a ferry ship run by the Hurtigruten cruise line ferry service, but it's really more for aurora tourists and especially in aurora season through fall through late winter is seeing the northern lights is the primary attraction. And what you've got fabulous scenery along the fjords and the coastal scenery of Norway, and you have the full trip is a 12-day tour up to the top end of Norway and back again. You're above the Arctic Circle and underneath your auroral oval for about half that time. It's a fabulous trip. I can highly recommend it. And so that's with the Hurtigruten cruise line ferry service. These are some shots from just last month when I was an instructor with a group from an organization called Rhodes Scholar. That's who I've been an instructor with, and you can sign up through them or signed up independently on the ship as well. But we got a couple of fabulous nights, and even one down at the bottom there where there's the comet. There was a Comet Lemon just poking up amid the aurora as well. And so I can highly recommend Norway as another great spot. But if the movie comes through okay, this is the kind of thing you want. This is a real-time movie from Churchill, Manitoba, looking straight up at the corona, at what's called the coronal outburst of the aurora just going crazy. So this is not time lapse. This is pretty well what you could see.
Jeez.
And the aurora is just twisting and swirling around, and it's straight overhead. This is up there with us eclipse of the sun, total eclipse of the sun for spectacle. It's just hard to imagine that the sky is capable of doing this, where you just see there, just fine little ripples and little fringes of pink from nitrogen glowing, and just fine ripples. And it's very impressive. And so that's something I think everybody should make an effort to try to see. And even in this week, I didn't really see anything quite like this. This is something I've mostly seen from up at sites underneath the auroral oval. And so that's the kind of experience that is kind of almost like a total eclipse in terms of spectacle. But we all know eclipses of the sun. Hopefully, many of us had a chance to see one a year ago, April 8th. This is some shots and time lapse and still shots from April 8th, 2024, when I was going to go to Texas and ended up in Quebec, southern Quebec. And so I made quite a driving trip to see this. This was my 16th total solar eclipse, I think. I'm losing track now. And if you missed it, and we had an opportunity in 2017 as well. If you missed it last year, or in 2017. Oh, this is just a map showing you we've been quite well favored for eclipses in North America in the last decade or so. We had an annular eclipse through the desert Southwest there, the Four Corners area in 2012. And then the total solar eclipse in 2017, August 21st. I'm sure many of you got to that. I went down to Idaho for that. That was the closest the eclipse will come, has been in the last little while to where I live in Alberta. And then the next slide here, we had an annular eclipse of the sun through much the same area as a few years earlier, 11 years earlier, in October 2023, through the desert Southwest. And then 6 months later, we had the total eclipse of the sun on April 8th, 2024, Mexico, Eastern North America, Eastern United States, and then Eastern Canada as well. What a great opportunity that was. That was August 21st, 2017. Having an eclipse where you could drive to was fabulous. What a luxury, because now you could take all the gear that you want with you. This was the annular eclipse of 2023 from Bryce Canyon, was my vantage point for that. And I picked out a spot where it could get the whole time-lapse sequence. Once again, it could drive to that and take all the gear. And this was last year, April 8th, 2024, from the shore of a lake in the eastern townships of Quebec. Did contend with a little bit of cloud, but I was happy. It had been quite a drive to get there. And here's a time lapse of the shadow of the moon coming in and totality and that beautiful twilight glow. And then here's the edge of the shadow coming. And when it hits the moon, there's totality over, third contact. if you haven't, and I was a happy camper there. If you haven't seen a total eclipse of the sun, you have to before you die. No, no question. But if you have seen one, you want to see it again. The first thing you think is after eclipses, when is the next one? Well, the next one is August 12th, 2026. So if you go to that, you can't go to Alcon. But it's the European eclipse. It's the first total eclipse of the sun to cross continental Europe since 1999. Some of you may remember. Crosses Greenland, Iceland, and down across Spain. And all these maps that I'm using in the talk are courtesy the late Fred Espenac and Michael Zeiler at eclipseatlas.com. Wonderful sites, and eclipsewise.com. If you want maps and charts, go there to Fred or Michael's websites. This is 2026 and August 12th, where it's your opportunity to sail into the fjords of Greenland and see the eclipse right down the fjord. Now, there's several cruise ships doing this tour. Many of those may be sold out, so it may not be that much of an option. Oops, sorry, it just slipped by there. Iceland is the other location, just the southwest corner of Iceland. Again, lots of people picking that because it's an opportunity to see, well, maybe Northern Lights in August. It's not getting really dark yet, but just other great scenery as well as the eclipse. But the choice location is Spain, is where I'll be heading to, where it goes across northern Spain here and then out into the Mediterranean and across the Balearic Islands as well, where it's very low in the sky. And in fact, that's the map, a little chart I did. It's one of the charts in my ebook I'll mention in a bit, showing you where it'll be in the sky in Spain. Is quite low, which is risky for cloud, but it's spectacular. I've seen low eclipses like this, and they can be spectacular. The eclipse looks bigger, more magnified. It's that full moon illusion effect. And you see the shape of the shadow more defined. So I'm looking forward to this. I'm on a trip to Spain in August 2026 as one of the guest experts, along with several other astrophotographers to advise a travel group. So that's where I'm heading for the next one. And then a year later, we have 3 eclipses in a row, 1 lunar year apart, 12 lunar months. And so here's August 2nd now, 2027, which is the North African eclipse, where look where it crosses over. Now, it's going to be hot, but the chances of clear skies are pretty darn good. And so it crosses the Straits of Gibraltar, goes right down the Straits of Gibraltar. So you can see it from Spain again, or from Gibraltar, or from Morocco in Tunisia. I'm signed up on a trip just as a paying customer for a trip that's going to the coast of Tunisia. And that's going to be 5 minutes and 40 seconds of totality. Spain is only in 2026, the year before, is only a minute and a half or so. But here, if you go right to the maximum point of this eclipse, August 2nd, 2027, it goes right over Luxor, Egypt. You get almost 6.5 minutes of totality. It's the longest total solar eclipse for the rest of the 21st century. So it's very popular. It's going to be very popular as a destination with tour groups or people traveling on their own and the like. So, and the sun from Luxor will be high overhead. This is again another star chart showing where the sun's going to be. It's almost directly overhead, which is one of the reasons it's a long eclipse in 2027. And so it's going to be spectacular. So that's one to see because the chances of clear skies are very good. And then 1 lunar year later, July 22nd, so 12 cycles of the new moon later, we have the Australian eclipse. Now, goes over New Zealand as well. But the major landmass it goes over is Australia. And it's a fairly long eclipse as well. It's about 4 or 5 minutes long. It's a fairly major eclipse, and it crosses just about every state in the country, bar for Tasmania. And so you have your choices of where to go. It's pretty remote in the Western Australia, Northern Territory, in the outback. But look where it goes in the east. It goes and it crosses South Island of New Zealand as well, right over Queenstown. But it also goes right over Sydney, Australia. So this is the view from Sydney Harbor of the sun. It's a late afternoon. The sun is going down from right to left. You're in the southern hemisphere. You could view it right from Circular Quay, right from downtown Sydney. And so I'm certainly planning on being in Australia for the 2028 eclipse, total eclipse of the sun. I've seen two from Australia, 2002 and 2012. So back again, we hope 2028. And this is where I put in a plug. I do have an ebook out that's all about how to photograph this trio of eclipses coming up, 26, 27, and 28. Three quite different eclipses, high and low, long and short, but all great locations to go to in the world. And so where they are and when they occur kind of affects what kind of pictures you might be able to take or want to take. So I have an ebook out that's available at my website that you can purchase and learn all about it. I did one for the 2024 eclipse, and it proved very, very popular. This is one for the coming trio of eclipses. Well, since you'll be in Australia in July 2028, that's midwinter, but what we would think of as the summer sky and the summer Milky Way is straight overhead as it gets dark. The center of the galaxy is right overhead. So you might watch the eclipse from Sydney, but you don't want to be in Sydney. You get out of town before that or after that because you're there at new moon. And you want to see the southern Milky Way, the great southern sky. So this is the last of my travel sites, great sky sites, is the Milky Way across the sky like this. This was from a year ago, March, when I was last in Australia in March 2024, and at a star party that I'm going to be talking about in a moment here. And so just seeing this site of the center of the galaxy overhead, not on the southern horizon as we see it from North America, but high overhead. You see the whole galaxy stretching across the sky. And you don't have to go deep into the deep outback for a great dark sky experience. Australia is dark. That's the location where I go. Is just 4 or 5 hour drive from Sydney, in the central west of New South Wales, the star party called the Oz Sky Star Party. I'm wearing the T-shirt here from it, and the skies are as well. You can see and perhaps you can see there. It's Bordeaux Class 1. It's very dark. And it's near the Warrnambool's Mountain or National Park, which is a dark sky preserve. And it's also near the Anglo-Australian Telescope or the Siding Spring Observatory. So it's near kind of Australia's version of Kitt Peak. And so it is kind of an astronomy mecca in Australia. This is the kind of view that you get, is the Milky Way straight overhead. Oh, the town nearby is Coonabarabran, and that's my kind of destination. I don't go way into the deep interior of Australia. Just going to Coonabarabran has proven more than sufficient for getting dark sky sights. And there's hotels and motels and restaurants, all the services. And it has built itself as the astronomy capital of Australia because it is the location of the Siding Spring Observatory. And as to say, it's kind of Australia's Kitt Peak, a big 4-meter class telescope and lots of smaller telescopes there as well, which often you can get a tour of if you go there during the star party I'll talk about. Down the highway a little bit is the Parkes Radio Observatory, the Dish, made famous in the movie The Dish, where they picked up the first TV pictures from the moon, Apollo 11 moon landing, and have been involved with other space program efforts over the decades as well. So that's a location to visit. I've been there several times, and it's a great spot to go to, a good visitor center there. But this is the kind of location where I make for in Australia. I've been there many times now, can highly recommend it. I was there last, say, March 2024, is the Oz Sky Star Safari. If you get the Reflector magazine as AL members, you see it advertised in there, and wondered what it is. Well, here it is. They rent out the Warren Bungles Motel. We have it, exclusive use of it to ourselves, so we can control all the lights and whatever. And the guys who put it on, they have these telescopes that have been supplied to them by an entrepreneur to do outreach. And the small telescopes are 14-inch Dobsonians. The big ones are 24 and 28-inch. You know, and you have these at your disposal because the Star Party is quite exclusive. It's only about 36 people or so. And so it's not a great big club star party. It's made for astral tourists from outside Australia to come and really enjoy the southern sky. So you have not quite a telescope to yourself, but sometimes that is the case. No one's on it, and you can look at whatever you like, or only to 2 or 3 people at an eyepiece who's sharing a telescope. And they're all equipped with the computerized devices to help you find things easily. And if anything goes wrong, Gary Koff, who invented the device, is right there to help you out as well, the Argo Navis. And so they're all incredibly well equipped, and all the top eyepieces, whatever. And this is the group. This was the size of the group that was there, mostly from the United States. One from Canada last year, but sometimes others from Canada. We had a couple from Israel, a couple gentlemen from Korea as well. So people come from all over the world specifically to attend this, to really get this great southern sky experience. And these are the folks that put it on. And they're one of the best assets as well, because these folks are fabulous observers. They know the southern sky. And John and Andrew and Lachlan, they can show you stuff that you would not think to look for. And so you come away with a great experience having these very expert guides as well, running the telescopes or showing you things. So I can highly recommend it. It's advertised in the Reflector, but that's the website, oddsky.org. And last I checked, there were spaces available for next March. And then they have a smaller affair in November as well for the spring sky, mostly more galaxies in the Magellanic Clouds. But it's on every year. Typically, March or April is the main event every year. And I've been to it now 8 times or something since 2004 or whatever, 2005 when I first attended. I can highly, highly recommend it. And this is a panorama of the night sky from the Oz Sky grounds, kind of simulated what the naked eye view is. And in March or April, that's kind of your best time. You get the best of everything across the sky in terms of the southern hemisphere sky. And here is sort of later at night or in the the first thing you do when you get to a location like that in the southern sky is you try to find what you're familiar with up north. Well, here's Orion. Here's our winter sky. In March, it's still up there, and so here's our Orion. That's we can recognize that. Sirius down below, the belt of Orion pointing up to Taurus. Except that's the way we see it. This is the way you see it down under, and so everything's upside down. So the first thing you have to do is stand on your head in order to look north, to see the sky as we're familiar with seeing it, with in this case in March, the winter stars, but it's really the last of the summer stars down there kind of disappearing, and the autumn sky coming up. And so that's a unique experience as well. But the southern Milky Way is fabulous. It's the best stuff in the southern sky is in that southern Milky Way from Orion and Canis Major, which we see, through Puppis and Vela, Carina, Crux, Centaurus, Scorpius, and back into territory we're familiar with, Scorpius and Sagittarius. But all that good stuff in the middle there is for us, depending on how far south or north you live, but it's kind of unknown territory for most of us. It's all new to see and explore. And you can go with as many lists and things to look at, but it's nice to have guides like the OzSky folks, because in this one area of the sky here, which is the most southerly portion of the Milky Way, as far south in declination as the Milky Way gets, are some of the finest objects of their class in the sky. The best globular cluster, the best known constellation. You think, okay, which is that? That's Crux, the Southern Cross. Best known, well, it's on the flags of many Southern Hemisphere countries, like Australia and New Zealand. And we also have lots of other, the best emission nebula, the Carina, best open cluster, second best open cluster, best double star, the second best double star, the best dark nebula, the second best dark nebula, maybe not the best planetary, but one of the strangest, the spiral planetary Musca. Well, I'm not going to go through what all these objects are, and you can argue whether that's the best or not, but whatever. But even observers of the likes of John Herschel were calling these objects some of the finest objects in the sky, clusters, nebulas, and the like. And many of them far outdo anything we have in the northern sky. And so that's all available. Now you can see some of that from way down, southern, the Winter Star Party or something like that. But from the likes of the latitude of Australia, it's, very high up, easy to see. But then there's the Magellanic Clouds, and they can be seen really only well from the equator or well south of the equator, the two satellite galaxies of our Milky Way. And here I'm just pointing out Alpha and Beta Centauri, two bright stars in the southern hemisphere, a couple of the brightest stars. They're the pointers. They point to the Southern Cross to help you find which is the Southern Cross, because there's a false cross down there as well. And then you have these bright patches visible easily to the naked eye off the Milky Way. Look like little fragments of the Milky Way. In a way, they are, in a sense, the large and the small Magellanic Clouds. And those lines point you to the South Celestial Pole, where you have to polar align your mount or telescope or whatever you bring on with you. The blankest area of the sky. It's a real challenge, polar aligning down there. But it's worth it if you want to do photography. And one of the great targets for photography, and you don't need a lot of focal length, is the small Magellanic Cloud. And right next to it is 47 Tucani, arguably the best globular cluster in the sky. It just makes anything up north pale in comparison. It's fabulous. It's one of the first things you look at is 47 Tucani. And 47 Tucani is a spectacular object in any telescope, let alone one of those big Dobsonians at OzSky. And it's considered by many to be the finest globular cluster, intensely dense core. But above it is the large Magellanic Cloud. And my gosh, you could spend night after night exploring the LMC. There's just so many nebulas and clusters, and that's the second best nebula in the LMC. That's the most obvious nebula, the Tarantula Nebula. You can see that with the naked eye. It's incredible, and yet it's 160,000 light years away in another galaxy. It's incredible view through a large aperture telescope. Something like that, that's a simulation of what you see. It's so intricate. It's an astonishing. And if it were as close to us as the Orion Nebula is, it would fill the entire constellation of Orion. It's a huge nebula in the sky, in reality as well. So to go to the southern hemisphere is worth it just for the Large Magellanic Clouds. And but here's the experience that you get in a March or April time is the South Celestial Pole is there, as I've indicated. Um, Through the night, the Magellanic Clouds drop down, but what happens is the galaxy then turns and rises, and what is called down there the dark emu rises. And some of the Aboriginal constellations, and particularly this one, is made not out of stars but out of dark lanes in the Milky Way. They're so obvious. So there's the dark emu rising, the emu being the large flightless bird, which is still in existence in Australia. And you see that massive Aboriginal constellation. And by getting towards dawn in March or April, it's all the way across the sky. And now we have the galactic core straight overhead. And you realize what it is we live in. We live in this galaxy, spiral galaxy, seeing it edge on, just like the kind of favorite galaxies we like to look through in our telescopes. But here it is across the entire sky. This incredible dark lanes across bisecting the Milky Way, and you really get an idea of your place in the galaxy. And I think it was Bart Bok who helped found the Siding Spring Observatory. Is famous for saying is that, God put all the astronomers in the north, but all the good stuff in the sky in the south. And you realize that, and you really have not lived an astronomical life till you've seen that part of the sky. Well, where to go to see that? Chile, as I'll show you in a moment, is a location. Don't have to go to Australia per se. That's my favorite location. Namibia is where colleagues have gone. It's all at that magic latitude. That's where you want to go for the best southern sky experience. About 25 to 30 degrees south, which for me is like 80 degrees farther south from where I live in Alberta here at 50 degrees north latitude. But it's also the clearest and driest zone, and where the Milky Way core does come straight overhead. So those are the locations to go to. Namibia, colleagues have been there. There are lodges that cater specifically to amateur astronomers with telescopes available for you for viewing as well. And so that's a location it's on my bucket list maybe to get to one day. And then I've also been several times to Chile. Uh, it's an astronomical mecca. It's many, many research telescopes in Chile as well, for good reasons. The air is just so clear and dry there. And the location I've been to a couple of times is near the town of San Pedro de Atacama, to the Atacama Lodge, where once again it's a location for astrotourism, and telescopes are there for you to look through or for you to rent and observe, so you don't need to bring anything other than a camera and a tracker or something like that, perhaps. Fabulous location, and I've done great viewing there. There's great restaurants in town. It's a very tourist-oriented town. There's all kinds of other attractions, geysers, and beautiful geologic sites there. And so it's the lodge is called Space, the San Pedro de Atacama Celestial Explorations, but that's the website, so you can check that out. I can highly recommend it. Run by astronomer Elaine Moret, and it's a great spot to go to in northern part of the Atacama Desert. And so this is the view of the volcanoes there. They're up very high, but San Pedro itself is not that high. It's not like it's breathless. It's only 2,400 meters or something like that. So it's quite easy and to get around, and no problem there. It's not like you're up at high altitude. Well, but I also kind of recommend Australia, and here I am looking through one of the telescopes at OzSky. When to go to the southern hemisphere during the winter or summer, May to August. The Milky Way core is overhead, but it can be hot. Or rather, sorry, it's in wintertime, but it can be cold, rather, I should say. But that will be the case in July 2028 for a trip down there for the eclipse. It can get cold. And then in austral spring, September to December, that's the best season for the Magellanic Clouds and southern galaxies. But the Milky Way is not well positioned. Just like spring in our northern hemisphere, where it's galaxy season in austral spring, September to December. January to February, the deep south Milky Way, but it's hot in midsummer. March, April, I think is kind of the best time. Best of everything, and it's not too hot, not too cold, and you can see everything through the night. The Magellanic Clouds at the beginning, the galactic center at the end of the night. And that's when the Oz sky is typically held as well. So that's what I could recommend as to when to go to the southern hemisphere, what to take. Depending on where you're going, a lodge that caters to astrotourism or a star party like Oz Sky. You very least take binoculars. Even if you're going to where the telescopes might be provided, take binoculars. So many of those southern sky sites are fabulous in binoculars. But if you take a telescope, you can take a little telescope on an alt-azimuth mount. But if you want to do photography, you want to take a tracking mount, and a go-to mount can help you find things. It's a lot to haul down there, but nevertheless, I've certainly done that. And if you want to take a little go-to mount, it does help you find things down there to speed things up. But you certainly want to take a basic sky guide. You're starting over. However you learned the sky when you were 12 or 14 years old or whatever, well, you're back to that. So take your basic star guide to figure out what's up. And even the familiar sky is totally turned around. And you have a whole new sky above you. You're starting over, and it's wonderful. You feel like a kid again to get going and learn the sky, and then pick out some of these fabulous sights in the southern sky. So, and then for astrophotography, all you really need to take is a tracker, and your favorite camera and lens or whatever. Laser pointers are illegal in terms of aligning on the polar south celestial pole, and so that can be a challenge. But that's really all you need to take a lot of photographs of the neat best stuff, like the one in the background there of the Carina area. And so you don't need to take a lot of gear. So if you want to really check things off your bucket list, travel to see that fabulous southern Milky Way, a total eclipse of the sun, at least once, if not more than once, and then auroras overhead as well and filling the sky. They all rate a 10 out of 10 in terms of astronomical spectacle and memorable experiences. You haven't really fully lived an astronomical life till you've seen that trio, and for the most part, that often requires travel of some kind. Well, here's the waning moon coming up into the Australian sky, signaling that our dark sky time is over. And so that's the end of my talk. And so that's who I am, and that's where you can reach me. And that was me on Tuesday night in my backyard enjoying the northern lights all over the sky. So thank you very much for watching tonight. Hope that all went well, and we'll see if we have time for any questions. All right.
That was fantastic, Alan. I'm ready to go. Don't know which way I want to go first, but oh my gosh, that is so amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
It just makes you stop and think, because a lot of times I have to agree, we've all got more telescopes than we need, and sometimes it's better to buy memories than stuff.
Yes, I think so. Yeah, you want to buy the gear, no question.
Yeah.
But at some point you think, yeah, it's experiences I want.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and you might, oh, it's going to cost a lot. As you know, you travel and yeah, it costs, but you never regret that.
No.
Afterwards, it's always the experience you remember. And so what if it costs whatever it was? It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. in the long term. And
Yeah, I can
so
look around at the telescope sitting on the shelf that I could have used, but I have another telescope up there. I think after you're in this for a while, your gear just builds up naturally. It takes a long time to get to that point. There's no doubt. But yeah, I enjoy traveling enough that the memory is worth it.
yeah, yeah. And as you say,
Scott,
I
do you
think
have any?
it's those three things that you most travel for:
Oh,
eclipses, the aurora, and the southern hemisphere sky. I mean, there's other astronomical sites, but we don't have a transit of Venus or even Mercury coming up in the next little
really?
while.
Yeah. And
So
you're right about the aurora. It is so fantastic. We've all been able to see it, but to see that coronal and to actually see, you can look at all the videos you want, but when you actually see it with your own eyes, it's stunning. I mean, it makes you really, I don't even know how to describe it. It is
yeah,
so cool. I mean, the whole sky's moving, everything's dancing and
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, you
So, yeah,
can't believe the sky can do that.
yeah,
And even on a really bright display like we had on Tuesday, I still didn't see anything quite like that coronal burst that I showed you from Churchill, that you typically kind of have to go up to the auroral oval to see something like that. I've seen that from home, but even on a bright display like last Tuesday, it wasn't doing that.
yeah,
It was filling the sky. It was bright and photographic, wonderful, but it wasn't really dynamic and moving as much as you've seen and we've seen from Alaska and Churchill and Norway, whatever.
sure. All right. Scott, you got anything?
Well, there was a question. It says this is from Chris Cardos watching on Facebook, and Chris he said on the cruises in Norway that you mentioned, is the stability of the ship's deck a problem with photographing using a tripod or a tracking mount?
Oh, I thought there might be that question. Here is my Norway camera.
Okay.
It's a Nikon. I mean, any camera will a good camera will do, but a really fast lens. This is an f1.8 16 millimeter, and so your exposures have to be 1 or 2 seconds shorter than what you might use at home. And so the ship is normally pretty good unless it is in rough seas. But I showed the shot of the panorama with a comet, and I just took several pictures, panning along, and it was possible to do it. And so it's a bit of a challenge, but you need a fast lens and then maybe shoot at a higher ISO than you might
Right,
normally
so
shoot at home. But a fast
1600 or
lens,
something.
yeah, 6400 or something like that, perhaps. Yeah.
6400. Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, that's great. Kind of what our viewers are seeing in the background here is our class. There was also simultaneously a lecture going on about how to use telescopes. And so we're doing that here at Northwest Arkansas Community College at the Shoemaker Center.
Great.
And so they've now all gone outside, and I think inspired by your talk, to go out and look up at the sky. So,
Yeah.
and let's see, any other questions? Johnny Ray is watching on YouTube. Says, "Thank you, Terry and Scott, for hosting, presenting. I was clouded out for the aurora. Aw, that's too bad. Well,
Definitely.
there'll always be more, and you can always travel to some. So now I have a question for you, Alan. Are you conducting any tours that people can go with you?
No, I'm not. This year was my last year for doing Churchill, and this
Okay.
last month was my last month for doing a Norway, and I was never conducting the tour or organizing the tour myself. I
I
was
see.
always an instructor hired by a tour company or whatever, or the Northern Study Center in Churchill as
Got
an
it.
enrichment lecturer. But this was my last year for doing those two locations. I've been doing them for about a decade or so, and it was wonderful. I enjoyed doing them, but I kind of wanted to have a little more time to kind of do my own thing.
Sure.
as well. And I am an instructor with Dan Zafra and his group Capture the Atlas. But I think the tour is sold out for Spain next year in for the total eclipse. But Aurora tours I'm not doing anymore as an instructor myself. So
I see. I see. Pramvera Hyseni's just tuned in, and
okay.
she's just saying greetings to everybody. And she's going to be at Alcon, right? She'll be
Right.
at the Alcon event, which is
Yes.
great. And Chris Cardo is also watching on Facebook. He's asking, will a recording of this Zoom session be available? And of course, yeah, the answer is yes. You can go on the Astronomical League's Facebook page. You can go to Explore Scientific's YouTube page, a couple of others, but yes, for sure, it's out there. And that's it.
Great.
All right.
All right.
Thank
So
you.
thank you very much. Thank you. We're going to sign off. I'm going to join
Can I
everybody
say one last
outdoors.
thing before you go, Scott?
Yes.
Okay, the next AL Live will be December 5th, and it will be Jericho Kuehl that will be on there. And he is, as Chuck said, he is amazing. Please join us December 5th at 7 p.m. right here. Jericho will be along, and Don and Chuck and myself and Scott, maybe
Yep.
even David Levy if he happens to be in town.
Hope so.
But
All
Scott,
right.
otherwise, Alan, thank you so much. And thank
Yeah.
you everybody else that
Thanks,
has
Alan.
presented tonight. Appreciate it. And
Thanks.
Scott, I'll turn it back
Thank you,
over to
Brian.
you.
Okay. Thank you, Chuck. Here we go. So let's take it away. And you guys have a great night. And if it's clear wherever you are, look up.
Thanks, Scott.
Thank you.